it's time to press right into the show and the indie of the week.
Ooh.
And this week, it's Calpe, who do some absolutely stunning stuff. And if you're a fan of Napoleonics, you probably already know about Calpe. If you are not into your historics, then this one will probably have passed you by because they're an indie within an indie, a niche within a niche.
Interesting.
The whole kit and caboodle for Calpe is years ago, Peter discovered that a lot of companies were making Napoleonic stuff, but then would get bored before completing a full army. So there'd be, bits missing. They'd go, we've done one command stand. I'm not doing any more. Just reuse the same ones for every regiment, regardless of what they're supposed to have, type of thing. So the Calpe range is small. It only really covers Saxony, Prussia, and France. And specifically, it is for the sort of 18 to the 18 period. So
1813 to 15.
Yeah,
kind of thing. So maybe.
It runs up to Leipzig,
right,
which was the Battle of Nations, which more or less was the end of Napoleon's first empire before he got exiled the first time. It's also the prior to World War One, it was the biggest engagement ever on European soil. So the uniforms are aimed for that period. As he says himself, sometimes some of them will fit slightly outside of that. So they might work for 1810, or they might work for other periods, or sometimes some people reference bits and pieces and go, well, this came in 1812, and technically, yes, on the books it said 1812, and that's right. However, in reality, nobody was actually issued with them prior to 1813. So there's some detail in here. In fact, I will start by going to the guides and research. Saxons isn't filled in yet, but there is a fair chunk. This website's really good for specifically this period and the French currently. There's a lot of detail that goes into historics, and when people research it, they go, where do you start? And there's two very important things in this website. One is he's already done a lot of the heavy lifting, so much so that he's quite exacting in what goes into the sculpts, because he sculpts, casts, molds, posts, everything himself. It is literally a one-man operation. And he says, he does all the research before he does the sculpting, and it's to fill niches within armies or fill various ranks. So all the heavy lifting has been done here to a ridiculous degree. Now, I know for some people, they don't like the research and historics. They go, I just want to paint them blue. And you go, well, in that case, you do you, son. Nobody's going to stop you painting your French blue regardless. If you don't want to do the minutiae of a specific battalion or regiment, nobody's stopping you. So you go right ahead. But for the people who want to try and get it as exact as possible,
you've got the option for that.
It's all in there. Yeah. And I mean, you can see there, this is just on the standard French uniform. It goes into artillery and bits and pieces separately. So that's really nice to have as a start.
I was learning about the uniform stuff. I think it was the start of this week or maybe the end of last week, because Victrix have put out a set of Peninsular Dragoons for the British.
They have, yeah.
And there's an interesting little bit in there where they're talking about how, yes, we've sculpted these to match a particular period as was dictated by the government, essentially in the military command. But in actual fact, half of these things didn't even get to the soldiers. Maybe 6 months to a year down the line, sometimes they maybe didn't even get their stuff, and so they would have just worn whatever they could find.
You get it in if you've ever seen the Sharp TV series, there's a great bit where Sharp is teaching some kids from the South Essex Green recruits. It's like, well, you've killed the Frenchman, now quickly steal his backpack because it's better than what we have. You killed him, didn't you? That's why you get his backpack. Yeah. That's what it's there for. The second thing about the historical research part is he sells the uniform plates specifically for the miniatures he sells.
Wow.
So these will not embiggen particularly well. Because they're,
otherwise you just print
screen. Yeah. So these plates come from a gentleman in Germany. He has his own website, which I will throw you up there, which covers all of the Napoleonics. And he says himself, whenever he starts researching for anything that he needs for his own figures, this is his first point of call, because this is also meticulously well researched. But if you are interested in picking up specific things, very tiny picture. Will you get bigger? Probably not. But you can go in there and go, okay, well, the kingdoms of Sardinia, guards regiments, it's that sort of thing. There's kingdoms of Bavaria and Saxony and all sorts. So for people getting into Napoleonics, there's a wealth of information here, and it's a great, if you don't want to do all the heavy book reading, I have a volume of Napoleonic information down there, and it's a big hardback book filled with pages upon pages upon pages of thick, dense text and explaining what colors are various epaulets, braid and lacing without any pictures, images or color bits. You need to know where the uniform parts are to know where these bits go. Here, it's very simple. You just go, okay, well, there's the Kingdom of Bavaria with that ridiculous blue and white lozenged flag, which you will always buy because nobody is painting that by hand. But yeah,
so each of these is worth over 1,000 words.
Oh, very much so. So those are very good resources for people getting into Napoleonics. Right. Very cool. Aside, there are 2 websites. Calpe is migrating, is that what they say, to this new, shinier one? So not everything on here, or not everything is on here yet, and not everything on here has a picture yet. The old website is available from here. If you go into some of the pages, like the Prussians or Saxon in particular, it will have a little clicky link button to the veterans page, where all you get is the code, what it is. So if you need to find something and go, well, that isn't particularly well filled out, it's because it hasn't made it across to the new part of the website yet. Yeah. But if you're looking for it, you can just go in here and go, well, I need the Saxon Musketeers and Grenadiers or whatever it is. That's a little caveat for you when you see the click here for the veterans button.
Does the gallery option on that old site give you images of the different sprues and stuff? Well, not sprues, but the different kits and things.
No, the gallery is the same as the gallery here, which is just filled with gorgeous pictures of people's stuff.
So it's just a nice repository of things.
Oh, God, yeah. Oh, my word, yes.
It is incredible just how flamboyant some of the Napoleonic uniforms were.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, it was a great way of getting everybody on side and knowing where they were on the battlefield. If you're sitting on a hill somewhere,
knowing who not to shoot.
Yeah, very true.
Kind of helps.
It's foggy, I suppose.
Column A, better column B.
Hey, that's Lubu's red horse.
I'm so
Do
glad.
not engage Lubu in Napoleonic warfare.
No, never do that. But as you can see, the figures themselves are very distinctive sculpts. Because he was sculpting these for himself, essentially, it's like, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. I need these for mine. Therefore, I'm going to sculpt stuff that I need. The sculpts have been done with a certain amount of batch painting and big regiment painting for wargamers in mind. So belts and the like are very sharply cut. If you think, like over-exaggerated, sometimes you get really nice sculpts. I'm thinking of things like the Perrys and Wargames Foundry and stuff, where it's very well sculpted but softly defined, which means when you're painting, it can be a pain in the backside, especially these days where people use a lot of washes and contrasts and blah, 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 blah. They won't pick that detail up as well. These are very, I need to paint that belt. That belt's a big belt that you can get right into and carve, right across it. So the idea is to make them as accessible as possible for people who need to paint all of the miniatures in a relatively short amount of time.
I love the towns.
Well, you're not going to get where those came from. Well, it says at the bottom Grand Manor, but they closed.
Oh,
he wanted to retire.
Justin's life.
He wanted to retire.
Sad face, QQ.
It's all about, there was a big going away sale earlier this year, and I was on that website daily filling the basket, then emptying the basket and filling the basket. It's like, I can't do this.
Do I, don't I, should I, shouldn't I?
I love nice,
I really should have, but I didn't.
Yeah, I love nice galleries like this because it's the kind of aspirational stuff that you want, where you start to think, oh, this is how my army could look. And rather than it just being a fairly sterile sort of web store shot of a metal miniature, which is handy when you're looking to get an idea of detail and things like that.
Yeah.
Sort of the sculpting quality, but seeing the finished painted stuff like that in nice battlegrounds, I think is really cool. So
again, there's a lot going on.
It's something I do want to get into. Is either some ACW or Napoleonics at some point. I keep looking at stuff, hovering over the buy button, and going, not yet.
Not yet. Sometimes you just need to find the right thing to inspire you, or the right rule set to go with.
Shay will drag you into ACW before you know it. So.
Well, maybe if I make it to Salute next year, we can go up and raid some of the ACW stands.
Maybe, yeah.
So as you can see here, we have a whole slew of bits and pieces from center companies to grenadiers or voltigeurs, that type of thing. And as you can see, miniatures themselves really nicely presented, and also you get to see the Lloyd shots of them as well.
Of course,
which
fully
is
required.
Oh, always required. And again, the attention to detail and the research that's gone in is superb.
Now, are these 28mm?
Yes.
Okay.
28/25, depending on.
They look like a good fit to the Warlord stuff. Actually, which is kind of cool.
I'm just all right at this kind of scale. I'm terrified of doing a big battle just for the idea of how many figures you have to paint. It scares the hell out of me.
Yeah,
but then it depends on the system you're using, and
fair.
I mean, things like black powder work on 24 men to a regiment. So, you're not painting a huge amount of models if you don't want to, and because there's a lot of footprint based games out there as well.
I liked the odds and sods pack that was on that page. I wanted to see what that was all about.
I will show you what that's about. I'm trying to find the there's a really nice set of enthusiastic soldiers, which are, how can I put it? There's some cheering and some casualties and some, just going off just to throw things in. Because when you are doing those footprint basing, when you're doing, 4 to 6 men per stand in a regiment, then it means you can put in the occasional guy being shot and falling over, or the guy waving his hat. And
those flavor miniatures.
Yeah. Just to break up the look of the line.
Yeah. So here's the base, and here's a touch of 5 spice.
Sure. Odds and sods.
Nice.
Well, they look like sods.
just a whole bunch of different equipment on them as well, like that.
We found whatever we can scrounge to keep us
be
alive. Yeah,
that sounds legit.
There they are.
Cherry on the icing pack.
Because Shaco raised, possibly in celebration, or possibly to let somebody over the other side of the hill know that there are indeed French coming over, and not to unload a volley into their face as they come. Fortunately, this bloke didn't do that, and as such has been shot in the face.
In the eye.
I'm not so much sure that he's been shot as that his mate may have farted, and it's that horrendous.
It's an interesting way of looking at it.
Love it. That guy's scratching his butt. Oh, I thought he was scratching his ass. He's scratching his ass.
It could be like almost there.
He's just holding his gun on.
Scratching his ass.
You can hear Jerry actually twitching here.
Shocking.
He's going, stop mocking my thing.
This must be what it feels like to be you, John, whenever we're talking about tanks, and people are just referring to everything as tanks.
Yeah, it's the moment when I see when Warren's on the show and the hands come up, and I know he's about to clap and shout Sherman like a seal. That's now you know how that feels.
Yeah. I'm traumatized by that anyway.
Enthusiastic poses as well. Though.
Yep. Yeah, look, they've just reached the top of a barbican or a wall, or just routed a regiment that was coming their way. They look
our
how
own
happy
men
they
didn't
are.
shoot us. Yay!
The generals, they didn't kill us today. Yeah.
Don't worry, if it was Leipzig, they probably did. Don't cheer too early in the day, boys.
Like the chat with the
bandage around his head.
Bandage, yeah.
Was there not one part of the Leahy scene where the regiment inside just decided, hell with this, we'll get drunk and keep fighting?
It passed back and forth several times, but that's that poser's mini game, Waterloo. So Leipzig, the amount of people that Leipzig outnumbered Waterloo by factors of 10, it was like 500,000 people.
Would it make a better movie?
Oh, God, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, very much so. No messing around there. No, none of this give me Blucher, give me Knight nonsense. Just get in there and just fight like Billy-O.
Murder.
Problem is now it would be all CGI soldiers.
Oh, that is very true.
Fair.
Yeah, that would be
And a
terrible.
script written by AI. Yeah.
Or you'd have M. Night Shyamalan in there with the plot twist.
I keep hearing his name, and I don't even know what he looks like
M.
anymore.
Night Shyamalan Ding Dong. Yeah. The twist is
he did 3
was
good
always
films.
Yes.
And I'll let people decide what those 3 were for themselves.
Was it the one about the wind that kills people?
No, it
Okay.
wasn't that.
Yeah.
Definitely wasn't that.
The twist is he's actually a lizard person.
So
Thankfully,
anyway,
there's
these
no-
Napoleonic miniatures are very nice, Jerry. I'm
Yeah.
really enjoying this indie. Let's
Yeah.
not talk about conspiracy theories, please. Thank you. Let's move on.
It would be great, wouldn't it?
It would.
Yeah.
Here we have Prussians in their little field caps as well.
Mm.
I know they do separate heads as well, so you can fudge
Nice.
around with some of them in regards to specific regiments if you need to change hats over.
Yeah.
I am one of those
Actors
people
go.
that if I was diving into Napoleonics, I'd want to do it properly.
Mm.
Mainly, someone would paint my models for me because of that. But
Oh, no.
I would have them marching to battle from the deployment zone
Mhm.
in that formation with their rifles up. Then, as they
Yes.
got close to the enemy, I'd switch out the regiment.
So the
deploy
person
them for
has to paint
firing
twice
line.
as many.
They have to paint twice as many and have them with their rifles down as they're advancing. And then once they get into a firing position, remove that regiment, put in the shooting one.
I hope Siege Studios is listening to this.
It's-
I see.
it's certainly
Coming
a
your
way.
way.
Yeah.
If I was to dive into Napoleonics at this scale, I probably would want to do the French though.
You'd want to go with the Frenchies.
I'd want to go with the French for
Yeah.
Le Grand Artillery.
I'd go Prussian.
Russians
Really?
are pretty cool.
I'd
Yeah.
absolutely go Prussian. Look at them; they're so good.
Yeah.
Also, you can build an awful lot of the Landwehr regiments using Wargames Atlantic's plastics. So they do like a big, chunky, like 60 really
They do,
basic
yeah.
marching figures in the box,
The regiment
Nice.
filler one. Yeah.
and then dump in the metals for more interesting units.
Yeah,
Yeah.
more spicy voice.
Yeah, just the less cheap filler going
Mm.
in there.
It would be hard. It would be hard not to do the British with sharp and everything, though, right?
I don't care about the British. I do not
Like
care.
every
for the
Irishman ever.
I do not care for the British Army in this period of history.
Yeah.
It just I know it's not, but it feels cookie cutter.
Here's
It feels boring.
For me, the French feel like a good, solid, heavy-hitting fighting force.
Mm,
It's because they had a load of Polish cavalry.
Oh, great.
true. Yeah. Oh, those are good as well. I like those gunnery teams.
Yeah,
Very nice.
Another person farted.
right. And he's having to cover his ears because it's so loud.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure where your ears are, Jerry, but this is generally where I keep my mouth.
All right, I was looking at this guy here,
No, one of the other boys.
but yeah,
I'm also a big proponent of artillery needs to have a crew with it. You can't just have a cannon sat on the side
Oh,
of
God,
a
yeah.
hill.
Yeah,
God
agreed.
knows.
and
Yeah.
theoretically a limber as well.
Yes, something's got to have got it there. Yeah.
Or an ammunition carriage, maybe.
That's
Mm.
what a limber is.
It's the limber.
Oh, that's what a limber is. Sorry, I'm ignorant.
Look at that.
How
So
long
much
have you
like-
known me and you don't pick up on this stuff?
John, I've known you long enough where you talk
care
about World War
enough.
II, not Napoleonics.
Limber's still a thing.
Well, I've never heard you say limber in relation to World War II.
Whereas I am very limber. Anyway.
Different show, Ben. Different show, different website.
different stuff. But yeah, you can
That's
see
really
here,
cool. Nice
Saxons.
Yeah,
isolation.
I like it.
Saxons and Prussians there in spades,
Right. So,
and some gorgeous looking bits and pieces.
important question then, Jerry.
Yes,
From this website,
yes.
can I do a full army?
Yeah, well, it depends on the force in particular, but yeah. I mean, if you want to do British, no.
Okay.
French, Prussian, Saxon, right up there. You may have to go hunting through the old lists on the veteran page to find the specific
But
codes
otherwise,
for
more or
some of them.
less, yeah.
Yeah, there's
fair enough.
certainly plenty in there.
Fair enough.
I'll maybe have a talk with you, Jerry, next time you're up, because like
Ooh.
there's projects I could finish within a few weeks of each other, and then after that I might be clear for something.
Oh, that would be interesting. The poor Saxons dying. Also, Saxons are good because they fought on both, as did Württemberg, I think. They fought on both sides at Leipzig. So you can have coalition and French versions of both.
That sounds like a middle management screw up somewhere.
Yeah, you know. So,
Are they still plugging away on creating new miniatures and stuff for this as well? So things getting added and things.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time Peter updated something, but as and when time permits, like he says, he is a one-man show.
Yeah,
and he even said because of the way he works, if he's sculpting, and then he'll have a time where he's packaging and sending stuff out, and then maybe casting or making master molds or whatever it is. So if you order, be aware that there could be a delay of a few weeks, because if he happens to be in the middle of sculpting something or making new molds or casting, then that's what he's doing for that period.
Right.
He doesn't drop it to go and fill a box with your stuff. So
his workflow goes through cycles of doing one, then the other, then the other.
And he said, you could hit lucky order on a day where he happens to be packaging up orders, and therefore it'll go out.
Just pops it in a box.
Yeah,
But
that's fair.
But as he says, if like a 2 week or 3 week delay is too much for you, then this isn't the website to order from. He's very frank in that regard. I think it literally says that in the about.
I will do this on my own time.
I honestly like a company and a website that's upfront like that, going, look, here's the way it is. If it's taking 3 weeks, it's taking 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Chill.
Well, he just clearly doesn't want the stress of emails saying, where's my stuff?
Yeah.
For him to set up an automatic reply bot saying, wait.
Yeah.
Look at them. Poor Saxons.
Yeah.
Shot, dying, bleeding out. All of them going to die.
Bad day biscuits.
Dying off. But yeah, if you are interested in those slightly different nations, obviously people always think Russians and Austrians and British and that sort of thing, but Saxony probably doesn't get a massive run out all the time. Definitely check out Calpe. And as far as scale wise goes, they work with pretty much all of the Napoleonics that I've seen.
Yeah.
So certainly Wargames Foundry, Front Rank, Warlord, Wargames Atlantic.
I was going to say the proportions felt very Warlordy, which was kind of good. So
yeah,
very nice.
They're definitely frontline, because our Prussians are over there, and they're a load of frontline miniatures, frontline Prussians.
Yeah, so they'll do the job very well. In fact, if I grab that might work. He said, "There we go." Dun, dun, dun. Just as a complete aside.
There's more. A second indie of the week.
No. Still just that. But there's some of the Calpe
brilliant.
metals alongside some plastics from. They look like Warlord.
Looks good to me.
Might be Victrix. Anyway. Oh no, they're the Perrys. So yeah.
Oh wow! If they're working with the Perry stuff, then you've got an endless supply of things to dive into. Yeah.
But yeah, you can find them out and about there, and they paint up a treat. So there you have it, Calpe Miniatures. Check them out. We're going to check out, but unfortunately, we'll be returning for some news. Swish.